DayZ, a game that provided players with the freedom of making split-second choices that either benefited them or had unpredicted ramifications. Like myself, this was the kind of game that many yearned for, an open-world experience full of terror, adventure, and excitement. Except for the bugs, shitty server restarts, and god-awful zombie AI.
The fuck?
And pretty much everything else. Yeah, this game was pretty shit overall. Looking at the chart of DayZ's popularity, as shown here by Ruskie's amazing video, proves that this game has seen an enormous decline, and for good reason. The standalone was, as viewed by many, quite a failure. Dean Hall was too busy climbing Mount Everest, and Bohemia obviously wasn't prepared to make the full game that we all had hoped it could be. However, despite this game's shortcomings and lack of production, something stands out. Be it the mod or the standalone, the fundamentals of DayZ remain the same. As seen in its decision-making, the nature of DayZ served as a catalyst to unleash the psychological ideals of the player. Seeing what a player would do in these situations was fascinating, game or not. The fact that a modification for a video game could bring to light such cognitive instincts was, nonetheless, familiar. In order to convey how this game was like no other, let's take a step back. A step back all the way to 2013. This is the story of how I met one of my best friends, back in the mod. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage of this time, so this standalone footage I filmed will have to suffice. Myself and my friend at the time had just based up north, when all of a sudden we get a signal on our radio, which was side chat in the mod at this time. The stranger was being held hostage by a bandit in the police building of Electro. This bandit was using him as leverage to lure out other fresh spawns, so he could get some cheap kills. My friend and I, being the honorable players we were disgusted. So we had a change of plans. It was time to save a little Bambi. I kept in contact with this stranger all the way until the coast. Once we arrived, the city was covered in corpses and zombies. Luckily for us, it was night, so sneaking around them was pretty easy. However, a few of them left us no choice. After we cleared out the zombies in our way, it was time for us to save this innocent little Bambi. We slowly made our way to the exterior of the police building, scouting it out, and we saw some lights coming from the inside, and we knew it was time. As we inched closer, we could hear the Bambi faintly pleading for his life. Time was of the essence, and I knew it. I rushed in with my pistol, saw nothing, as I rushed up the stairs in an attempt to save his life. And there he was, the bandit I had heard so much about. I clenched my gun, aimed at his head, and fired. My friend and I saved the Bambi, who revealed his name is Chase. We allowed him to take the bandit's loot, and we decided to trust him. He tagged along with us up north. We traveled from town to town, collecting supplies, killing the dead ones, and connecting as friends. However, something happened. Chase and my friend became very weary of each other, as they were both inherently leaders. They clashed. All I could do was watch this unfold. They threatened to kill each other, argued for hours on end, and eventually, it ended. We split up from Chase. He was left alone in Chernaris. I went on for weeks wondering if I made the right choice in leaving him. Until one day, my friend died. I was left alone in the wasteland, and I reflected on how Chase must have felt. As time passed, I luckily found Chase again. We agreed to leave the past behind us and find a friendship within one another once again. We still trek through the unforgiving wasteland that is Chernaris, engaging other players and saving others. Now, of course, the story wasn't that dramatic. I just dramatized it to make it more enjoyable for the viewer. However, I do think it's interesting that a game can elicit such responses. I just think to myself, if I didn't make that choice, if I didn't kill that bandit, if I didn't make the choice to go down to the coast, I would have never had a lifelong friend that I'm still friends with to this day. In fact, as I'm recording this, I'm in a call with him on Discord. Because I chose not to kill on sight, because I made that choice, my life was altered. That's the beauty of it, I think. The fact that a game can do something like that to you. And what I'm saying now, I haven't wrote a script for this part because I wanted it to come straight from the heart. Because I think it's important to remember that even a video game can change someone's life forever. Even if you don't make a lifelong friend like I did, a video game can still make you know that there are people out there creating this solely for you, solely for, of course, money, but they put their feelings into it, they put passion into it. And while the standalone may have had a bumpy ride, and even if it's looking better now, I think the formula of DayZ was amazing in the sense that it allowed players the ability to make choices that they never thought they would. To either be brutal, unexpectedly brutal, or unexpectedly human. To show humanity in a game where most would see it being silly, but only the true players of DayZ would understand why this game was so important. I'm sure many of us have wondered what we'd do if we were put into a situation like DayZ, and I'm sure we were all surprised to see the things we had to do in DayZ to protect our friends, or even just simply survive. We had to question our morals and find a balance in wrath and mercy. And while we all grow older and the game continues to change, the memories remain. The memories of saving innocent fresh spawns, repairing vehicles, building bases, murdering bandits. The memories of DayZ.
Oh shit, oh, I knew you were gonna do that. I wanted to kill... Oh, you piece of shit. I hate you.
So what, you're done with the video?
Yeah.